Hello and welcome to a very, very late Week 10 video. Overslept a little bit, but I got it all ready to go for you. It's a huge week. Leagues led by the unbeaten Snarl, who have been dominating opponents by 48 points a week, which is nuts, and they've already locked up the Black Conference, or the Gold Conference, so congratulations to them. And on the Black Conference, it's still very much up for grabs as the two conference leaders will play each other today, both sitting at 6 and 3. You got the Slaughterhouse taking on the Cheswick Zombies. I also have gold. This is going to be a fun video, guys. And Desi's here. You say hi?
Hi.
All right. Week 10, bye weeks, more bye weeks, and injuries. It's insane for not just myself, but everybody. It's definitely going to be a tough week. Slaughterhouse will be led by quarterback Drew Brees in his second week back from injury as he looks to torch the Atlanta Falcons in the Superdome. They've just been abysmal. Their backfield will be headed by rookie David Montgomery, who's finally turned on with 55 points over the last 2 weeks. It's pretty impressive against defenses who were better than the Lions one he's facing today, so he could have another big week. And there's not much behind David Montgomery in the disappointing Joe Mixon and Rashad Penny, as Phillip Lindsay and Cortland Sutton both bye weeks. Slaughter's strong point comes at receiver, though, sporting the number 1 and number 3 wide receivers in the league in Michael Thomas and Chris Godwin, respectively. Godwin has been cooling off from his white-hot start to the year, but I expect a bounce-back week against a weak Arizona defense. And Slaughterhouse will need their top end to be extra heavy this week as they're taking on the high-flying Cheswick Zombies. Bye weeks and injuries are affecting the Zombies as much as everyone else this week, but this team hasn't put up 176 a week because they're short on talent. Filling in for Deshaun Watson will be Jameis Winston as best he can in that favorable Arizona matchup, and 4 RBs in the top 20 are led by breakout player Dalvin Cook, who's averaging 27 points a week, and I believe he's second-ranked running back behind the unreal Christian McCaffrey, who's averaging like 36. On the outside, they have wide receivers 5, 6, and 7, and Tyler Lockett, Amari Cooper, and Julio. But the weak spot comes at tight end this week as starter Evan Ingram is out with a foot injury, and filling in will be Old Man Olsen. Obviously, I like the Zombies in this one, but the Slaughterhouse have a high ceiling and definitely have a chance to get the job done if Zombies come out a little flat this week. Next game is the Erie Inhabitants taking on the ARG at 2 and 7. Look at the record in 2020 picks, and it's easy to see the ARG in rebuild mode, but that's just a surface appearance. Mostly, it just seems to be disappointing play coupled with injuries. Unfortunately for the Inhabitants, the ARG are mostly healthy and ready to roll everywhere but at tight end, where with 2 bye weeks and an injury, the ARG are scrounging the waiver wire for possibilities. Erie Inhabitants have tight end problems of their own as star tight end Zach Ertz is on the bye, and they'll have to put in the oldest man river, Jason Witten, in his place. However, Witten hasn't stopped producing at the age of 47 and is somehow tight end 10 on the year. Add in a solid backfield of Gordon, Jacobs, who both had good Thursday night performances, and a booming wide receiver Mike Evans is the number 2 receiver in the league. And I like the Inhabitants to hold on to this one, sending the ARG close to that first overall pick next year. Closer. Next up, we got RDJ taking on Rolling with Mahomes. Great quarterback matchup, and Aaron Rodgers taking on Patrick Mahomes. 2 high-flying offenses, and Rodgers getting Adams back last week. They should both be putting up a ton of points. For Robert Downey Jr., he's got Mark Ingram and Devin Singletary, who finally came on and got all the touches last week. He got 20 touches. And if he's the leader in that backfield ahead of Frank Gore, he has the talent to put up a ton of points. On the other side, though, you got Tevin Coleman, who's been unbelievably good. I like him, but I didn't think he'd be this good. And Hunter Henry, who's also just been pounding the ball all year. I like that offense to get a little better with Tannehill in the pocket. Wide receiver, you got Juju, who's been super disappointing for the Mahomes, but Kenny Golladay has been a borderline wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 most weeks. And you got Keenan Allen for RDJ, who started the first 6 weeks, I believe, as the wide receiver one, and then has really cooled off since then. Still great receiver. I don't know what he put. I do kind of remember he had like a decent night Thursday. Wasn't anything crazy though. Big matchup at tight end. Also, you got quarterbacks and tight ends in this one. Travis Kelce for the Robert Downey Jr. taking on Mark Andrews, surprise tight end of the year for rolling with Mahomes. It's tough to pick a winner. I actually think this one's going to be pretty close, but I'll base it off of depth. I think Mahomes have a little better back end of the roster than Robert Downey Jr., so I'll take them in this one. Next up, you have the 4 and 5 Hart-Tons taking on the 3 and 6 Steelers. For the Hart-Tons, Rivers has not put up more than 15 points the last 3 weeks, but looks to break that streak against the Kansas City defense. For the Steelers, though, you never want Carson Wentz on a bye, and especially if Mitch Trubisky is your backup. He has been having a rough year. We'll see how that goes. In the Hart-Tons backfield, you have Alvin Kamara and Ezekiel Elliott as the top 2 backs, which are huge, but behind them you have 2 backups in Matt Breida and Latavius Murray. Although they are backups, they have been putting up a lot of points, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely not the depth you're looking for. Here comes my parents in the background, too. Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb for the Steelers. What a running back turnaround for that team. And then they also, for the Steelers, you have Devontae Parker, who's put up a touchdown 4 out of the last 5 weeks since he got traded. Who would have thought he would have been good? We'll see if the Preston Williams injury hurts or helps him. And finally, you have Adams back for the Hart-Tons wide receiver, and Robert Woods will turn it on with Cooks out for the week again. Another big tight end matchup in this one. The Hart-Tons are sporting white-hot Hunter Henry, who might be the best tight end in the league, and Steelers have Austin Hooper on the other side. And finally, wrap it up real quick. The Battle of the Brothers, Snarl 9-0 versus Resting Bitchface 3 and 6. Definitely easy to predict this one. You got to say Snarl, but with the return of Barkley and some good matchups and an injured Kittle, you could definitely paint you could write the story of how Greg pulls this one out for the big brotherly upset. All right, guys, have a good week 10. Talk to you next week.